All right, we are recording.
Why did everyone just freeze?
I don't know. Hey, everybody. Joy and Andrew here. It is our team call, January 28th. Oh my gosh, almost February. Why is our internet connection unstable? What? Hang on.
Don't worry about it. You're good. You're
okay.
Good. Just leave it.
If it goes again, I will figure it out.
That's Zoom, not you.
Okay, so we know we have a lot of new coaches who are tuning in, maybe for the very first time. If you are logging into the call, please put on your video. You can be multitasking, just don't be naked. That should be it. That should be like a
t-shirt.
A t-shirt. You can multitask, just don't be naked. But no, for real.
Don't multitask naked.
Yeah, that would probably sell better. So, for real, I'm a fidgeter, so I have to have that. He was fidgeting with my pen. I'm like, that's mine.
Because I don't fidget.
Call etiquette really quick. So
don't talk over each other. Rule number one.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. But anyway, video is always appreciated so that we don't feel like we're talking to a wall. Definitely, you want to make sure on any big call that you're a part of, that you double check that your line is muted, because sometimes we all forget to check the little box.
Don't be the person who unmutes by accident.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, don't do that, especially when you're on a call with like 200 people. And then don't be naked.
Might be having a passionate discussion.
Don't be naked. That's rule number 3. And rule number 4 is just be mindful that like you're on video, you know, like somebody might take a photo and post it on social media. So you don't want to be looking like, you know, resting itch of a face. You want a happy face. So no RBF today. You weren't ready for that, were you?
Y'all, if you actually knew the last hour of my life. Anyways.
We don't need to go on that tangent. We want to respect their time. Okay, so I want to kick the call off before we jump into the meat of the call, which you guys, this is like life-changing stuff that we're going to talk about. I think it is for me. I know it's been for you. And so I'm really hoping that tonight's information is a blessing to everyone. Oh, am I recording? Yes, I am recording.
Sure. That's when your internet went slow.
But I do want to start by celebrating the win. So I would love for you guys to, yes, you may unmute yourselves and celebrate any win that you had from this month, this past week. Like, we just want to hear it. So unmute. Who will be the first brave soul to step up and celebrate the win?
I lost 3 pounds.
Jessica!
And then I cut myself.
What was the win before you cut yourself?
I lost 3 pounds.
Awesome.
Yeah! Okay, Jessica just got started. That is her, I think, first lost victory. Yeah, we're celebrating your first 3 pounds.
Yes.
Praise the
awesome.
Lord. I'm very proud of you. Who else has a win to celebrate? Celebrate. I can sing all night, you guys.
She really can.
I did not even take Energize before the call. You're welcome.
I got a challenge pack sold last week. So that's good. I've kind of been silent for a while, just the season I'm in right now. So that was nice.
It was a huge win. I know the season you're in, and I'm very grateful that you shared that. That is a huge, monumental win. Good job, sister. Anybody else? I'm going to wait until I get to at least 5. So we have 2. That means 3 all got to step up and share something good.
I got a coach on my underneath me.
Yes!
Yay.
Elsie sponsored a new coach.
Yes.
I love that. That's a great win. We are now at 3.
Let's see how Joy counts.
Did I say we were 3 before?
No,
we were
I'm
at
just
2.
curious. You did this.
I'll share something.
Yay!
Kelsey and I both have been crushing 10 rounds for the last 3 weeks.
Yes, you have. I'm not jealous at all.
And I will tell both of you, I watch your videos, and yes, I've been doing martial arts and fighting for a lot of time. You both are starting to move way, way better. So any of you thinking like, I don't do that, I can't do that, clearly both of you guys are showing that it comes. The repetition comes. It's awesome to watch you guys.
We might need to tell Obi to go out with the boy because he's whining like a little 4-year-old. That's number 4. Celebration number 4. We are looking for one more. I can talk in an accent all night long.
No, she can't.
It just may change.
I became a coach this week.
Yes,
There you go, Stephanie.
Yes, you have. You waited long and hard for that coach status, sister. I'm really proud of you.
Girl, you know I did. Sorry, I'm driving, so I'm trying to.
No, you be safe, and thank you for sharing a win. But I want you to be safe. I should make an exemption for those who are driving. If you're driving, your hands on the wheel. Okay. Well, let's do some stuff. How about we learn some things, celebrate some things, do some things.
All the stuff.
Hang on. Me and technology. You're all gonna roll your eyes because it's me and technology. That's okay.
As someone who does presentations professionally for a living,
Guys,
this part drives me nuts.
It does drive him crazy, but that's okay. Because that's all right. I'm allowed. All right. So tonight we are going to be talking about the habit loop. So how many of you guys have been reading Atomic Habits this month at all? Anybody? Show of hands. I see at one hand, I'm looking through, and then those people who do not have their video on.
I'm sure iPhone has read it.
iPhone probably read it. Okay. It's an amazing book. So if you have not read Atomic Habits, I highly recommend it. I know reading something about
James Clear.
Yeah, reading something about habits doesn't necessarily sound super exciting, but I promise you this book is so full of ahas that will literally be very practical and change your life. So we are going to dive into what we affectionately call the habit loop and a little bit about habit stacking. But first of all, I just could not let the night go on without sharing with you all that we, our global team, you guys, added 171 coaches just this last 7 days. Boom! Does that not blow your ever-loving mind? I just think that's the most amazing thing ever. And check out all the new names that we have added to our tribe, Rising Phoenix International, over the past 30 days. This is the first time that we've been able to actually do an official welcome. And so I want to just take a moment and say, hey, you belong here and we're so excited you're here. We opened up this call to even our challengers. So forgive us while we do a little happy dance and celebrating about fun things like this, but we're going to get to the meat of our call right now. So habit loop, y'all. How many of you would you've tried to change your habits but wound up kind of backsliding back into the old bad things again? Have you ever tried to change a habit and you're dang it, I'm right back to square one. Why can't I bust the bad habit? Anyone? Just me? I see no hands. Nobody has.
Well, we don't
everyone
have a full video thing there. There's only 3 people.
I know. MJ and Heidi, you guys, and Jessica, you guys are on the hot seat because you're the only ones I can see. So there's kind of a 4-step process to habit formation. And so we want to walk you through. Can you get him out real quick?
We're the only ones who can hear him, I'm sure.
No. I know it bothers me though. It distracts me. Can you just put him outside? I'm going to kill him. Can you go take him out? Please?
Dog on a bone. You know what's going on. That's the only thing that matters. Yeah. Okay. That's not going to help.
Okay. So Andrew's going to take care of that. So we're going to walk you through all 4 things, but we're going to focus primarily on number 2 and number 3. If you want to do a deeper dive on, all of this stuff, pick up a copy of Atomic Habits. That was very pitiful, the way he is getting Obi out of the room. Pick up Atomic Habits. So the first thing that we need to talk about is just being aware of our existing bad habits. So I'm not bringing up bad habits to make anyone feel poorly about, anything that you've got going on in your life. Awareness is simply the first step in making the necessary change. So if you haven't already done this exercise yet in January, this is what I want you to do. I want you to take a picture, and you can always I'll have the slides. I'll download the slides. You can have the slides. But if you want to take a picture with your phone right now, I want you to identify 1 to 2 quote unquote bad habits in each of these 7 categories of your life. And the 1 or 2 habits that are keeping you from getting the results you want. So this is going to be.
You want them to identify 14 bad habits.
Yes,
Okay,
I do.
just make sure.
I do. I want you to identify 1 or 2 bad habits that you have. So
Then please
7 to
post
14.
them on the Rising Phoenix wall so we can all vote as to who has the best or worst bad habits.
No, you do not have to share that.
Oh, we're not doing that.
Heidi's like,
Okay.
and I'm out. But I want you to first like create an awareness over like what are some of the things that you're doing every single day that might be sabotaging you. For example, and we'll talk about this more, but like one of my really bad habits is I wake up, I get my cup of coffee, I grab my phone, and that is a bad habit, y'all. I gotta bust through that. So just be aware of the things that you've got going on that are keeping you from what you want to achieve. And so for each of those habits that you identify, I want you to get really crystal clear about what is the reward that you get from holding on to the bad habit. Because there's probably something that you're getting out of the bad habit.
There is definitely something you're getting out of the bad habit.
When he shakes me off, I'm like, no, it's true. There's like a reward.
Absolutely. 100%. I want to take the word probably out of that. And this is one of the, are you going to go into the proximity aspect of habits or no?
We're going into the reward thing later. So hold
Okay.
on to, hold it right here.
I have had a day where I haven't been able to be involved in the preparation of these materials, but I have so much to say about it, and I'm just going to shut up.
Okay, good for you. All right, I love you. I love you.
Are my eyes really blue right now?
They are really good. Okay. So we're going to talk about this in a minute, but you will probably find that the reward you get from a lot of your bad habits is this feeling of being in control or a sense of certainty or security. So we'll talk about that more, but if you really drill down on the motivation behind your bad habits, it's because you are getting some kind of reward, and it's typically that feeling of being in control, being certain, or feeling secure. So that's a really important thing to understand if you want to bust through the habit loop. So here is what we're going to spend a lot of our time talking about right now is the habit loop. I just want one. There we go. That's good. So I want to start by helping you understand how habits are created. And this is a graphic that shows the habit loop. Do you want to, you like the habit loop. Do you want to explain it or no? You're good.
I do, but
Okay,
I
go ahead.
can't, sure. So the habit loop basically starts off with something that triggers you into that. And I will use a really bad example from my own life. Bad being this was a horrible habit that I had. And fortunately I've been able to break, but I had to break it. And what took me breaking it was I finally realized what the cue was. And that was smoking, quite honestly. So my cue for smoking was get in the car.
This is way back in the day.
Yeah,
It was
this is
in his 20s.
decades ago at this point. But my cue was get in the car.
Mm-hmm.
So, because that would be basically about the only time that I actually had a cigarette at all. And then my routine was, okay, driving to and from work or whatever the case may be. So that cue is that trigger point, something that is leading you to automatically go to the next thing. And then obviously with a habit loop and why it starts to create it is, the cue leads you to do the habit. The habit is the routine. And then you are getting a reward out of that. From a cigarette perspective on this one, it was, a momentary aspect of calm and being able to kind of put my mind in one centered spot, because that's kind of what I did there. That wasn't what the cigarette did. That's what I was doing during that time frame. So that was that reward. And I had to kind of disassociate all of those. But quite honestly, one of the first things that when I finally realized it, and this was way before I knew any of this, was I realized that getting in the car was my cue.
So research actually shows that this, the cue, that number 1 at the very top of the habit loop, that is where we should focus if we're trying to create new habits, because cues are the environmental factors that actually trigger us. Trigger, because that's an inside joke with me and the boys, because it's such a trigger word. Anyway, they trigger us. So here, they don't get any of that except for us. That's all right. No. Here are the 5 most common cues. So most common cues are time, location.
Like the car.
a preceding event, your emotional state, and other people. So let's really talk about the cues, because if that's going to be where we should focus to create new habits, then we really have to understand like what the heck is happening, what is cueing us to take the behavior. So the first one is time, okay? Time-based cues. So examples of time-based cues, like you wake up in the morning and so you brush your teeth. Or maybe you wake up and you exercise, or in the morning you would shower or get dressed or go to work. Like those are all things that they could be examples of time-based cues because of the time of day.
You build a miracle morning routine.
Right. Or at night, I have like, you know, a 10-step face wash system or whatever, because like, you know, I have all the creams now. Like it's crazy, but like there's a process that I have to do at night. Right. Some common bad habits that happen during time-based cues, like the one that I just shared was waking up and grabbing our phone when we first wake up.
Yep.
That would be a bad habit. Taking a mid-morning smoke break. Hopefully no one on this call is smoking, but that would be a type of bad habit. Having a glass of wine as soon as you get home from work, or, you know, that nightly glass of wine after dinner or whatever, like that could be a time-based cue.
Yep.
Mid-morning snacks. You might not even be hungry. Like this actually happened to me mid-afternoon snacks. It used to be the thing where like at 2 or 3 o'clock, I would go grab the tortillas and the tortilla chips and the salsa just because it was like 2 or 3 o'clock.
That's the late night snacks for me. Those are the ones I have a hard time. Like I have zero problem eating nothing until today. My first meal was at 3 p.m. I have zero problem with that.
So
I will have a serious problem at 11 p.m.
Yeah. So like one of the ways that you can use time-based cues to your advantage. Okay. So like these are all bad examples. Like how can we use time-based cues to help us form better habits? One, for those of you who are coaches on our team, a real simple one is to just set business hours on your calendar. Things that you know are going to occur at a specific time in the day.
Yep.
It's one of the first things we teach you to do. Like you got to have hours of operation, if you will. For those of you who are joining us from our challenge group, having a specific time to work out every day. That's another time-based cue to say that, okay, I'm going to do it at 8:30 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning. That is a time-based cue. And you can use that to create some good habits for your life. Okay, the second one is location-based cues. So these are the most powerful driver of mindless habits that we have, but we can actually use them to our advantage. So you might have an environmental cue of like in your kitchen, there's a cookie jar. And so when you go into the kitchen, you see the cookie jar. And so it prompts you to grab a cookie out of the cookie jar. For me in my office, my office was set up in a way where it was just very distracting. So like I would come into my office and feel very unproductive just because of the environment that I was in, the way it was set up. So I made some changes this year to that. Or like you might sit down to do work, but you like forget to turn off all the notifications on Facebook and Instagram or text. And so you're constantly being distracted by all of the environmental factors going around. So you can't be productive. It also can happen if you are trying to get some stuff done and your kids are running around or the dogs are running around being a distraction. Not that you can do a whole lot about
that's
that.
A little bit different. But I mean, like in my example of smoking, it was the car. The car was the environment that triggered me to actually do that.
Yes. So we can either change the location or change the environment. So for me in my office, I rearranged and changed the location, I changed
You
my
literally did a
environment.
180 degree,
That's
almost
what I meant.
180 degree of what you face in the office.
Yeah, I rearranged everything. Like I literally changed my environment. Or perhaps you're the kind of person, if you need to be productive, you need to go to a coffee shop and put in some earbuds with some ambient music. Like you need to actually get into a different location entirely in order to be productive. So those are the two ways that you can use location cues to help you with your habits. Preceding events. Okay, so
I love this one.
preceding events. So we've all had you ever had, like, you sit down to dinner with your family and the ding goes off on your phone and you are like Pavlov's dog and you just cannot resist picking it up and checking it, and it interrupts your dinner with your family, even though you have the best of intentions to stay focused and put all the technology away. So that ding is a preceding event. Sometimes preceding events can be an emotional reaction. Like you might have a certain way of responding. Like the example that was said to me was like, maybe you don't have a super supportive spouse, which sometimes that does happen.
What are you trying to say?
You're very supportive, babe.
Oh, I thought you were saying sometimes I'm not supportive.
No.
Okay.
But let's say you're in a situation where you have someone who's not super supportive, and so they have a habit. I think we've all had those people in our life where they like make a little dig now and then or whatever, and you have formed a habit when they do the dig of reacting a certain way and lashing out. So your habit is actually how you think and feel, and the preceding event is the person who's like
Does the dig?
yeah, does the dig. So the cool thing about preceding events, and this is something that I know Andrew is like totally chomping at the bit to talk about, is habit stacking. You can create what is called habit stacking to actually form a new habit. So habit stacking is basically if you take an existing habit and you stack it with a new habit you want to create.
Correct.
So like, let's say your habit that you want to create in your life is that you want to read more. Okay, so your habit stack, you already wake up, you go grab your cup of coffee, but normally you grab your phone. So the habit stack change would be you wake up, grab your coffee, grab your book and read, and then journal. So you've already kind of like attached the new habit you want, which is reading, to something that you already do, waking up and having coffee.
Right, and then kind of one of the things that is you either wanted a cue or a reaction to something you like doing. So I've really started working on kind of really developing, you'll hear me refer to it as miracle mornings, and like tomorrow's gonna be early. I'm sorry, I'm gonna warn you in advance. It's gonna be early.
I'm warned.
But I like to work out in the morning, so whenever possible, especially when I'm on the road. But my habit stacking became I wasn't doing as much reading as I really wanted to, so I put the reading right before that. And I actually did kind of habit sandwiching. That's my own term. I came up with that one, where I do all of my journaling and everything first, then I'll do the reading. I do devotion, then I do the journal, then I do the reading, then I do the workout. So I'm stacking and sandwiching and following up. And
so my habit stacking lately is that I still have my cup of coffee in bed. Like I still have that sacred.
Oh no, I still have that first.
I still have that sacred time. But when I do get up out of bed, I get dressed, and then once I'm dressed, I go into our kitchen and I set up my phone to do a quick Instagram. Like I'll do a Instagram story while I'm putting my Energize together, and it'll be like 2 or 3 or 9, 10 frames, depending on how long I want to talk.
Depending on what I did the night before.
Basically. But then as soon as that's done, I come into my office, I sit in my pink chair, I grab my devotional and my book and my highlighter, and I read. And then I, might share some thoughts from that time. But that has become my new habit because I was very like, either I was totally spot on with reading, or I would kind of like have these moments where I just let it go.
Right.
And I know that the number one thing I can do as a leader is work on this. So I had to create a different kind of habit stacking in order to be more consistent. And it has made a huge difference in January. Oh my gosh.
The whole point of habit stacking, though, is not, hey, put all the things you love together in one block.
No.
The point of habit stacking is when you're trying to develop a new habit, use either the habit to be the cue for the thing you're trying to develop, or make the thing you're trying to develop the cue for the habit you already like to do. That's the point of habit stacking.
Right.
Increase your opportunity and your chances for success.
Right. So, okay, number 4 Q is your emotional state. I know you like
every one of those eggs today. Every single one of those eggs I've been today.
So an emotional state. So an example for those of you who are on our team, you might be messaging back and forth with someone, but fear kicks in. And anytime you think about sharing about, inviting it to our challenge group or the community, you have a fear that comes up. And so you have a bad habit of just getting stuck in small talk. If you have a habit of overeating, this could be because you have a bad habit of eating when you're bored or depressed. It gives us a short-term pleasure,
Yep.
right? Like we've all been there.
Drops endorphins real fast.
Absolutely. You might have a emotional state of negative self-talk, which then sabotages action,
Dude,
which I think we all suffer from at some point or another.
Thank you for removing my name from the parentheses that was next to that beforehand.
I'm so guilty of this last one, retail therapy.
I don't know
You
what you're talking
guys,
about.
if I have a really bad day, I'm like, "Ew," and I have a really bad habit of like, and I don't even necessarily, thank God, don't have to buy anything, but I definitely go on like at least a window shopping spree.
And thank God when you do, it's not, well,
Li-
most of the time it's not crazy, but the redo of the room
That was planned.
somewhat spiraled out of control.
That was planned. But anyway, the key to your emotional state cue is mindfulness. Like you have to become aware of your emotions and how to manage them. And honestly, that comes from a lot of personal development and sometimes counseling.
And mindfulness, and I've been a broken record on this, but I'm going to keep going on it because it's been helping me. Journaling and like being honest in your journaling
Yeah.
about that has been a big thing for me over the course of the last, 5 months that I've been doing with that.
Yeah, I think that helps a lot, honestly. And then the fourth cue are other people. So you guys, this is a huge one. Like negative people start to affect our own mindset. And sometimes we don't even realize like how subtle the negativity just creeps into our everyday. Like you have to be on guard about this because it is very true that you will become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, the people that you have the most conversations with. And so if you are hanging out with negative people, you are going to gravitate toward negativity yourself. And so, sometimes we have to just take an assessment, and I'm never a fan of like, just cut them out of your life. Like, I don't think that you have to be that dramatic about it, but I do think there are seasons in our life where when we have a revelation that maybe we've kind of allowed a lot of negativity into our life, we can kind of prune that friendship tree. And, when we prune a tree, that just is for the tree's benefit to provide better fruit. So like, you can have people in your inner circle who are positive and the negative ones who really like, we just need to love them to positive mindset, right? Like at some point they're going to come to realization that they just need to like be a little bit more positive and work on themselves. So I don't feel like you need to cut them out, but I do feel like you need to be really on guard about who's in that inner circle.
Well, and yeah, and you've got to be conscious of it. Like one of the things that, and I've got to keep making this about me, so forgive me. One of the things I journal on every day is what are the ways that I'm not going to self-sabotage? Like, what are the ways today what are the things I am giving up and not going to do? And because of a lot of circumstances that are kind of work related, one of those things is gossip. Like every day I'm writing it down. Every day I am not going to get involved in the mishmash pitch patch of what's going to happen, what's not going to happen, etc. And gossip is there every day.
And I think, that actually brings up a really, like, I wasn't even planning to talk about this, but I think a really good life philosophy because I think gossip creeps in too. It's just another form of negativity. But we have a philosophy of like, negative goes up and positive comes down.
Yep.
So like, if we're ever having a really cruddy day or feeling frustrated, hopefully you guys won't ever hear about it from us because we're taking that to our mentors, right? Who have our best interest in mind for us and can help us be productive and solution oriented. I feel like sometimes if you go cross line or down line, and this goes into like corporate organizations
Absolutely.
too, then you are just fostering gossip. So a really great rule of thumb is to like negative goes up, positive comes down and sideways. I really truly believe. And, do your best to be a positive person. But, sometimes we find ourselves like, I don't have really positive people in my life. Like I don't have a good support system. So then what? All I have are like who I have. So the good news is for you guys, if you don't have a good support structure, that's why you're here. Like you get the environmental cue about having the right people in your life through this community, which makes all of the difference in the world for your life long term. So good for you for like, I always tell people like life change happens through the basis of relationship. We don't make these lifestyle changes in a vacuum. You have to get around other people who are going in the same direction that you want to go.
Sounds like you said that once or twice throughout your relative many careers around people.
Just a few. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about reward, which I know Andrew's really excited about. You guys, for every habit that we have, there is a reward.
Good and bad.
Yes, and rewards, actually, it's important to understand what the reward is, even for your bad habits, because rewards actually increase the likelihood that you're going to take action again to make that behavior become a habit. And some of you are going to find that the satisfaction of actually taking action will be enough of a reward. Like some of you are going to be like, okay.
You are the C personalities that like a check on a to-do list.
And
nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, I just won $1 million. It doesn't have to be that kind of reward. It can be intrinsic. It can be just the satisfaction of knowing that you took action on something that you really find important. So what I asked you guys at the top of the call is to really evaluate what is the reward of your current bad habits, because you really have to understand why you do what you do. And as I said at the beginning of the call, most of you are going to come to a realization that you probably are doing that behavior because it comes from a sense of comfort, control, or certainty. And, you know, this is, I cannot even stress how important it is to understand this particular thing, because short-term rewards like comfort, control, or certainty are never going to get you the long-term rewards that you want out of your goals.
But
Never.
it's also equally important to understand that psychologically and evolutionarily, your body and your mind will prioritize the short-term rewards.
Yes.
Your body doesn't realize and your mind doesn't realize that you feel so much better 6 weeks from now because you didn't eat ice cream for that 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
What it does realize is, oh, I've got a bunch of energy and serotonin and sugar from that ice cream. So that's awesome. So, I mean, really, it will go back on you. So that's why you've got to make sure that when you are doing rewards and you do something well, that, and I'm sure you're getting to this, you know, that you are actually rewarding yourself as well, like in the short term, to basically trick yourself.
But you have to understand too that when you are faced with uncertainty or fear of taking action, we automatically, like Andrew was saying, we automatically are going to default to the bad habit, which provides the short-term solution to our issue.
Yep.
But the quality, let me see if I can get this. Here we go. The quality of your life and your business will be in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty and you can comfortably handle every day. So certainty, comfort, and control are actually the enemies of success. You have to let go of the need to always be in control and embrace this idea that actually failure, or being okay with failure, is a pathway to success. You're never going to be 100% certain of the outcome when you are, taking action on your goals.
And as someone who has a real issue with this, I can tell you that it's so ironic that what most people will do is not take action at all, which guarantees the certainty of not actually achieving.
So I went live in one of our groups, a push group that we were running this month, and I talked specifically about this one personality trait that many resonate with, and especially him. And it's this idea that there are many of us who actually hate to lose more than we love to win. Yep. I will say that again. We hate to lose more than we love to win. And so if that speaks to you, okay, would you like to?
Actually, I really can't share that story.
No, you can't. Okay.
I really can't.
So
I can share it tomorrow night. I can't share it tonight.
Shut you down then. You may just stop. If that speaks to you and you're like, oh my gosh, that's me, then you will sabotage yourself and you will keep yourself from taking the action that you need to be successful, because you rather not, like, you will create crazy excuses like, I don't have time, or like, it just, like,
the rules are rigged.
Yeah.
If I can do it this way, I know I could be able to do it. So, but since I can't do it that way,
I'm not going to play at all. So
Um,
literally you will take your ball and go home and not play because it would be better for you not to play than to lose.
If you would like to know the million ways that can be phrased, just hit me up, because that is literally the way my mind works.
So if that is you and you're like, oh, dang it, they just called me out. What I really,
No, I called you part of the tribe. I'm not calling you out. I'm calling you part of the tribe.
what I want you to make a decision on tonight is to declare that you are no longer going to pursue the path of certainty, comfort, and control. That you are creating a business and a life of your dreams to achieve true freedom. And that requires that you be comfortable with uncertainty, that you get comfortable with the idea that failure is actually your new definition of success. Because if you are not failing in life, in general,
Yeah, progressing.
you're not progressing. Because I'll tell you what, your leadership development happens in the failure gap. That's when you learn. You could quote me. That's a good one.
I was listening to a podcast from Trent Shelton today, and he was even bringing it up that, no one on this planet has ever, and he used it from the frame of haters. No one on this planet has ever not had haters.
Yep.
Christ had haters.
Yep.
Christ couldn't even get his message across in his own hometown.
Nope. Had to leave.
Yeah. I mean, it's like everybody
has to understand that. So you're going to have to figure out that you have to show up in a way that you've never shown up before and adopt this growth mindset. You see, a fixed mindset says, like, I can't make change. I've always been this way. But a growth mindset is someone who says, I'm willing to try and fail. It's looking at failure as an opportunity to grow.
And owning and realizing the fact that your reality today is not your reality 5 years from now.
Correct.
Your reality 5 years ago is not your reality today. So how you could think you can't grow and you're not going to grow just doesn't actually make any sense when you step away from the situation and take even a 100-foot view instead of a 10,000-foot view.
Correct. So the pain versus pleasure principle basically says that every decision we
Wasn't
make.
that a band in the 80s?
What?
Pleasure Principle.
I think it was a song. I'm not sure.
I think it's a song. Okay, I gotta know now. Well, we're gonna know by the end of this.
So every decision that we make is driven by our desire to do things that bring us pleasure and
It was definitely a
avoid
song.
and avoid pain. So short-term pleasure always leads to short-term pleasure always leads to long-term pain. It should say, not plan. Whoops. So you can choose the pain of discipline, or
Pain of regret.
you can choose the pain of regret. Another really great quote, why can't I remember his name? The author will come to Henry Cloud. Change happens when the pain associated with the status quo
Got it. Sorry.
is greater than the pain associated with change.
Why
Could
can't I see
you? Yeah, it's Janet Jackson.
Yeah, totally. I don't even. How did I not?
Was not
immediately get that?
distracting at all.
I know.
So this is really good though. The pain. Okay, so change happens when the pain associated with the status quo is greater than the pain associated with change. Here's a stupid example of that. When texting came on the scene, and I had like one of those phones where it did not have a smart keyboard, or what is it called? QWERTY. Anyway, QWERTY keyboard.
QWERTY.
Got
QWERTY.
it. Did not have that. And so remember, like, for those of you who are old like me, you had to, like, to text someone, you had to go like 3 times
God
to get
forbid you had to get the S. It was 4.
So, and I'm so, just type A. So I'd be like, da, 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 da. And so I would like scan past the letter I need and then have to do it again and again just to get the letter.
There was no autocorrect back then.
No, it was horrible. So I was like, who would ever text? Like, this is the worst technology ever. I'll just send an email. And then I started leading youth ministry where all the kids were like text. That was the only way I could get a hold of them. I led a youth worship team. And so if they were going to show up on Sunday morning, I had to figure out how to communicate in their language, and that was text. So the pain of my status quo, like emailing and not being able to like communicate, the pain of me like not being willing to change and adopt texting became greater than the pain of learning how to just operate within the new texting format. So I had to make a change. I had to figure out how I was going to reach these people. So I adopted new behavior.
Now you have a computer that will basically let you do an email as a text anyway.
I know, it's awesome. So you have to associate if you're going to make a change, okay? Because our tendency is always going to deviate towards short-term pleasure. If you're going to make a change, you have to associate more pain with that's what I'm trying to say. You currently, if you are leaning towards short-term pleasure, you are associating more pain with taking the action, but you have to reverse that. You have to figure out how to associate pleasure with taking action. And here's how we do that.
An example? Too.
So I want you to get really clear about what you are missing out on by not taking action, and get really clear about what your life will look like when you do take that action. So in other words, what is not taking action costing you?
Correct.
Did you have an example of that, or are we moving on?
That's called opportunity cost.
Yes.
And I have lots of examples of opportunity costs that are not coming to the front part of my head right now as we actually.
That's okay. So you have to ask yourself, what would my ideal self or alter ego do in this situation? How would
I recommended that book earlier today, actually.
How would they operate? So here's the homework, guys. So we want you to go through all of those habits that you identified. At the top of our call, you're going to go through those areas of your life and identify the bad habits. And you're going to come up with a good habit that you can replace it with. Okay. So we can't get rid of bad habits, but we can replace them with good habits. And then we're going to ask ourselves, okay, my alter ego self, my ideal self, how would he or she think or act differently in these areas of my life? And then using your core values, what would it look like to lead with love here? What would it look like to demonstrate courage here? So that's homework number one. It's really, I know it's a lot, but you're literally going to draw a line down a sheet of paper, and you're going to list your bad habits. And then you're going to next to it say, what is a good habit?
Dude, you were asking people to do some soul searching.
I am. It's so important because, and then to each good, bad habit, good habit, you're going to say the person that I want to be, how are they going to show up? What would they do in this situation? That's the good habit that you're trying to create. That's homework number one. You thought I was I'm not playing around. I'm going to change your life right now. Homework number two. So then we need to really do some soul searching on what are the bad habits that you identify? What are they costing you in your life? You got to get really clear about what it is keeping you from. The cost of the bad habit is what am I trying to say here?
So to be clear, you got
column
number one, what's the bad habit? Column number two, what
is it costing you?
Column number three, what is that bad habit costing you?
Sure, you could totally do it that way. So this is actually going to provide you more inspiration with making the necessary changes, because again, you're going to identify the pain in it, right? You're going to get really crystal clear about that. The pain is actually greater than the change you need to make. So that is where you increase the pain about not taking action, and that helps you with the motivation to do it. So again, bad habit, cost. Now you could do 3 columns here. If Andrew were here before the call, we could have done the 3-column thing, and it would have been
I'm
so
guessing there's
much
going
better.
to be a 4-column actually.
No, there is
You're not
not.
You're not going to put what the good habit's going to actually deliver?
No, I am
okay,
not.
so we're going to change this. We're doing 4 columns. Column number 1, what is it? What's the bad habit? Heidi's like, thank you for summarizing. I love it when Andrew summarizes everything we do. Column number 1, what's the bad habit? Column number 2, what's the habit you want to replace it with? Column number 3, what does the bad habit cost you? What's the pain associated with it? And column number 4, what's the good thing that you're going to get from that? That way you can just look all the way straight across and say, my bad habit is I sleep in. The good habit is I'm going to wake up by 6 a.m. The thing it's going to cost me is short-term energy as my schedule starts to adjust. What I'm going to gain long-term is I'm going to have way more productivity and more energy at the end of my day. That's an example.
Boom.
I
And
was on the fly, y'all.
And with that curtain, we close and we open it up. Oh gosh. And we open it up for questions and discussion. I'm like, that's a new phone. Please don't crack it.
Come on, I didn't go that high.
And again, I'm going to ask you to turn on your video so we can take a super cute picture of our group tonight. So,
And while we're waiting for everyone to figure out their questions.
do you hear that? He's got pleasure principle going. All right. So
Play
go
the background's off.
ahead, unmute yourself, and anybody want to share some kind of aha moment or takeaway from the information tonight? And I'm going to look for 5 people to give me feedback on what you just heard, and I will wait all night long. All night long.
Oh, pull that one up too. Okay.
So I guess I'll chime in first. I noticed within the last week or so, actually I've been doing this forever, Aaron will say otherwise. I wake up in the morning and the first thing that I grab is my phone. And so I'm just like scrolling through my feed. And then I'm later realizing, man, I didn't do my reading. I didn't do my devotional. And somehow I beat myself up over it when it's like, okay, what am I going to do to change that? So that's a big bad habit, and just trying to again replace that. That's going to be challenging, but I got to get it done. So
you
yeah,
want to replace it with?
I need to get it done. I need to replace that bad habit. So
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
yeah.
Who will be sharer number 2?
Oh, I will. Hi, Joy. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, Susan.
Hi, guys. Hey, that was a great call, by the way. Thank you so much. And I got a lot out of it. But the one thing, gosh, I can't even say the one thing. So many things struck me. But Andrew, when you said even Jesus had haters, I was like, because I loved that. And that just put a lot of things in perspective. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I say something?
Yes. Hey, Thomas.
I'm sorry. Hey, I think what really, I guess, was my aha moment was part where you say you can't be scared of failing. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you do that. Sometimes you like, well, man, I done already messed this whole thing up. So why even just start, man? And, here lately I just kind of digging myself like, dude, you need to really just get in and fight even if it hurts. You know what I mean? But dude, that was one of the things I love that you had said about, just even if, you gotta fail. You gotta fail. And that's one of those things, like, I'm a fighter. I hate failing. You know what I mean? So that was my aha moment. So I appreciate the call. Thank you.
I love it.
You only truly fail when you quit trying.
Yeah.
And I have to tell myself all the time that. I mean, I literally had to tell myself that over and over and over again as I drove from work to what I did after work. Like, I kid, and I'll share what that is tomorrow. I promise. It's not a giant secret, but it is something I got to keep for another 24 hours.
It's a big stretch for you. I always call the failure gap like the Jesus gap, like God's not really
it ain't me.
God's not really getting any glory if we can do it all in our own strength. You know what I mean? Like, if we can succeed in everything we do, then I'm sorry, he doesn't really get it to show off very much in that. So yeah, failure is everything. Who wants to be number 4?
Ooh, no.
Delise.
I would say that I think it's a really good reminder for no matter if you're a parent or on this team or you're a coach, whatever, is to take the gossip and start crushing it as fast as you can out of your life, and to teach your kids the same thing. In fact, I think kids today, they don't gossip. Social media is different, but the face-to-face gossip and the behind the scenes, my kids don't do a lot of that. And I don't know if it's that I don't know about it, but if they catch me saying something even slightly off or negative or whatever, they like to point it out. So I think it's interesting that maybe it's just a generation of us sitting on this call. I don't know, but I think that's really true. And to take the positive to your team, to your people, and the mentors, whether it be a parent or a coach or whatever you're talking about in your situation in life, take it up. to the people that can help you that have probably already been there before, rather than people that just really don't have a lot of experience.
Yeah. Well, and you don't want to accidentally create a toxic environment with people who are in, you know what I mean? Like, it's so easy, right? Like, we think we're just venting, and it's so easy to like, just kind of like send them on a sideways thing too. That's great takeaway. One more.
I'll go. Okay, so you said you have to show up in a way you've never shown up before. And in another mastermind that I'm in, she said, what got you here will not get you there. Just kind of like, and so when I said earlier, like just the season that I'm in, it's not just my own like personal season of my own personal growing journey that I've never been on, by the way, which this has totally amped that up, just being a part of this team. But just business-wise too, what got me here will not get me there. And so just shifting some things, showing up in a way that I've never shown up before. So there's a lot of growth, obviously, that has to happen in that. But I really liked that because I like it when two things come together for me, because it always brings it to some just confirmation.
Yeah, it's like
yeah, and that quote, I'm gonna butcher it, so I'm not even gonna try. I'm gonna say that thought process, actually, Einstein was the one that brought that thought process up in coming to the world scientific problems, saying that the level of thinking that brought us to bring the problems we have today will not solve the problems we have today. We have to advance that thinking to the next level, which is, thank God we've got scientists that in medical research and everything else that are always thinking about taking it to that next level, and personal development people, because I have like this much of that in me.
So I wanted to share, for those of you who might be on a phone and you can't see the chat, but Andrea, she's like, my Wi-Fi is crap. But my biggest takeaway is to sit and make the list. I know my bad habits, but to see them in print, wowza, and to label what they're doing for me, even more, it gives me more of a reason to change the habit. It's powerful. And you guys, like, that's one of the things, like, we are drawing a line in the sand this year. Like, we are here for life transformation. We're not here just to, like, we love y'all, but we're not here just to, like, do another thing on Tuesday night. We want to, like, see life change happen for each and every one of you. And the fact that you gave up a Tuesday night to be on this call, that speaks volumes to your commitment to just becoming the very best version of yourself. So you should feel really amazing about that. And making a list about, like, your bad habits, believe me, it's not about making you feel bad. It's about really raising that pain awareness of what it's costing you, so that you can then become the person that you were created to be. And as the leaders of this team, like, we are in, like, passionate pursuit of making that happen for everyone on our team this year who wants it. So let's do a quick photo and then get you on your way and back to your family so you can do, like, your bedtime snuggles and all those things.
Or eat dinner, one of two.
Or like him, he hasn't eaten dinner. So Andrea, if you can get your video on, that would be super awesome. Sarah, Nicole, just flip the video on and we can take a quick, yay, look at you all come online. Woo! Sarah M, I don't know if you got video, but put it on, sister. I'm gonna be like, ask to start video. All right, we gotta go without you then. So everyone smile really big. Yay! All right. We'll post those on all the pages. Know that we adore you. Next month. Two real quick announcements. One, summit tickets are on sale for January. And so make sure that if you don't have your summit ticket, that you grab it now. You guys, like, please, if you think that, like, the content that we're trying to help you with to change your life is amazing, you got to get to Summit, because it's just like times 10. It will change your life, okay? We only get together a couple times throughout the year, really, and so Summit is just one of those game changers that I really have to impress upon you. Like, if you're serious about changing your life, you've got to get serious about investing in your own personal development, and that happens at Summit. Secondly, next month, we are going to be talking about achieving more by doing less. How many people like that idea? Woo! So one of the, Andrea down at the bottom. Okay. If you didn't see Andrea do the dance, the full-on like body dance, that was like classic. But the book I'm going to post in our team page just to reiterate, but I'm recommending The One Thing. If you haven't read that book, it's a really great one to read this next month to coincide with the stuff that we're going to be talking about how to achieve more and do less. That is the name of the game, people. So The One Thing. I have a copy of the book. It's amazing. It's a really great read. I think it's a bestseller, national bestseller.
It is.
Yeah. So
you can find it in any airport.
Yeah.
Trust me.
So can you imagine if you just committed to reading one book a month? What if you read just what it's called? The One Thing. Yes. The One Thing. There you go. Woo, she got it. Rachel already has it. That's so amazing. Imagine if you just committed to reading one book a month. You would have 12 books read by the end of the year, and you would be a different person.
And I promise you that if you commit to reading one book a month, you will not stop there.
No, you won't. You'll have a new habit.
My commitment this year was 2 books a month. I'm already averaging 4.
Oh my gosh.
I've been tearing them up.
I'm like,
tearing them up.
Wow, I feel like I need to step up my game. All right, you guys.
So can
have
I
a great night.
one other thing?
What? Quick.
So anyone in LA, Dallas, Philadelphia, New York, Las Vegas, you are on the path of Joel's bus tour with 10 rounds.
Oh, yeah.
If you get the opportunity to go do the work out there, it's not going to be like a super weekend. There's no corporate video, those types of things, etc. But they are recording the program at those events, which means you'll get to see exactly what goes on behind the scenes with it. You get to see the corporate production. You potentially get to be in the videos on there. That's always a good thing for your business if you can make that happen.
Yeah.
But the tour schedule is on the FAQs in Beachbody or Coach On Demand. Forgive me, I don't know what the FAQ number is off the top of my head. But again, LA, Phoenix, Dallas, LA, Vegas, Phoenix, Dallas, Philadelphia, New York.
Boom. All right, cool. So with that, go have a great night. We love you guys. Finish this month strong. Fight for those goals. Do not give up. Embrace failure.
Peace out, y'all.
Take it to the next level. Here we go. Bye.